Hello and welcome back to Tommy's Top Picks Weekly Roundup Podcast, episode 164. I'm your host, Tommy, joined by John.
How's it going?
Are you ready, kids, for economic uncertainty? Here we go. We got a bunch of stuff to talk about today. SpongeBob, obviously, is a thing now in Magic. And so we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about Tarkir, going to talk about some long-term set versus draft box performance. And then we're going to talk about a Lego comparison when Lego started doing more crossovers and what that did for Lego. And then we're going to talk some Pokemon, reprint fail, and follow up on Journey Together, where that is still at, since we are 1 week closer to release. Going to talk a little Flesh and Blood. And then we'll get into everyone's favorite doom and gloom economics. We got good news and bad news, so stay tuned till the end. But as we start every podcast, we didn't play much this week.
No, this is a week of sadness for gaming.
Yes, I've been very busy with personal stuff, and then I was away this weekend with family, and now... So all I really did was knock out my weekly quests, playing a bunch of different standard decks.
Anything good?
The mono red deck is doing okay. It got me over the line into platinum again. That's where I get stuck every time. But I don't know. I feel like if I put more time into it, I could get up further. But I feel like the platinum grind is a grind.
Mm-hmm. It's made that way on purpose, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, each one is harder and harder.
Well, and the engagement lock is the idea.
Sure, and you have
keep you on there, you know.
Yeah. But the games are quicker with that deck compared to like the mono white life gain deck.
Oh, I bet.
I did go for and got the achievement to end a game with 50 plus life, so that was cool. That's been kind of like a fun little game thing for me. I was always a sucker, like with Xbox Live, getting achievements, or PlayStation getting trophies. I was always a sucker for those kind of things. So now that Arena has that, I've been kind of targeting those and just going after some, which has been fun.
How many are there?
A lot. There's a significant amount. I don't know the exact number.
I was just say, is it in the hundreds? Is it?
Yeah,
tens?
there's a lot of stuff.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's cool.
I'd say dozens.
Dozens. Okay.
There are dozens of them, at least.
Yeah.
But what everyone's favorite topic, SpongeBob Secret Lair. What do we feel? If we knew there was going to be a SpongeBob Secret Lair, does this surpass Don't Care or underwhelm you?
I have to hate it on principle.
Okay.
But if they were gonna do it, from what I've seen, I think they did it right.
Yes, I agree.
Like I will say the people who decided how to do it, like the art approach, the style, like the whole thing, they did it right, in my opinion. It made me laugh, and I don't know anything about SpongeBob. So
yeah, I was dying. I was dying. I mean, we have a friend who hasn't bought a Magic product in many years who said that they are going to be building a Gary deck.
Has to.
And I mean, fun. Yeah. So it's definitely pulling at feels and doing a way better job than I thought. I'm glad it's not a whole set. I'm glad it's not a draft.
This is the way. Like I said, this is the perfect design. Like chef's kiss, leave it alone. Don't ever touch it again, please.
Yeah. Like the art for days with Mr. Krabs. Yeah. Perfect. Inevitable betrayal. Perfect. Force of despair with Squidward looking out, watching SpongeBob and Patrick have all the fun. Perfect. Nightmare's Whisper, just bloodshot eyes Squidward. Perfect. Counterspell, the meme SpongeBob. Perfect. And so the one thing that I've heard about the Counterspell and the one complaint about it is that it could have been a little bit better with Rhystic Study. It was like, do you pay the one? Kind of, you know. Mm-hmm. So, and that's kind of like the meme. That's the voice of the cap uncaps. Or if they did the counterspell text in like the caps lower, like alternating caps, undercap, lowercase.
Yeah. They could have gone harder. They could have leaned in
Sure.
harder
Yeah.
to the memes, but I think they did a good job.
No, absolutely. And like the plankton one, the crabs, sandy cheeks, Gary's super fun. The flavor text on Squidward is just I hate all of you. And then Patrick Star, I don't get it. That's the flavor text. And it's Barktooth Warbeard from I think it's Legends. And that card has never seen a reprint.
I feel like they always throw that in there, or maybe not always, but pretty often there's at least one card that's like, this hasn't been reprinted before. Not always the end of the world awesomeness to be reprinted, but it is like got that going for it, basically, type thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And then what I think is super cool is making SpongeBob every single color. So it's obvious this could be like a build around for your commander deck, right? Because if you play SpongeBob as your commander, which Joda is a very popular commander, you can play all of the other cards in that deck.
Of course.
And then, of course, the food token being the Krabby Patty. And I do like the lands with all the Garys.
I actually don't know Joda the Unifier. I actually avoid 5-color decks all the time, actually. I try to not do 5-color good stuff.
So he is legendary creatures you control with +X/+X, where X is the number of legendary creatures you control. Whenever you cast a legendary spell from your hand, exile cards from the top of your library until you exile a legendary non-land card with lesser mana value. You may cast that card without paying its mana cost. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order.
That's good art.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm looking at the art for that picture and that description.
Yep.
And you're just like, the
all the things.
Yeah. It's like a perfect face for it. It did a good job. They did a good job.
They did.
It's annoying how good they did because I wanted to hate this.
Yeah.
And I don't.
Yeah. And I did hear a rumor. I don't know, and I didn't check if this is true because it would take too long. But the forest basic land with Gary, that I guess this is the first forest art that does not technically have a tree.
Oh, really? That's funny.
Because it's kelp.
Well, of course.
But they're tree-like.
Kelp forest.
It says kelp forest.
It's fine.
There's a literal sign that says kelp forest on it.
It's fine.
But
I don't care about these lanes. This does not bring me any joy. They're fine.
Yeah.
Burger's fine. I like the burger. And then,
the burger's
of course,
pretty
the
good.
cards themselves, they did a good job.
Yes.
Like, I don't know. I wanted to hate it. I thought I'd hate it. And again, I hate it on principle just because this is so outside of Magic's realm. Like, this one's a real stretch. I can get with ninjas. I can get with a lot of things. But, like, Lord of the Rings, whatever. I don't know. It's such a different thing. Although, whatever, Warhammer and the rest of it, right?
Sure.
I don't know. I just don't like that they're making this like silly cartoon into Magic, but whatever. I guess they've done this long ago with the My Little Pony one too. It was like a very cartoony. So it's not even the first one that has that kind of style.
Right.
Yeah, like I said, I want to hate it. I don't hate it.
Yeah, true. That's fair. That's fair. But next up, I want to talk about Tarkir. How are you feeling about Tarkir?
I'm actually excited for it. I think we talked about this last week, but I am gonna get some and maybe play some. I don't know. If we can get to a shop for the release, I'll do that. If not, maybe we'll just buy a couple of the things, or we could just draft something. I don't know, buy some packs and draft it. Whatever. I want to play this one. It's kind of interesting. I like dragons. I'm looking forward to upgrading my dragon deck. That will probably be the one big thing I do.
Yeah.
I'll probably just do it off of my collector's pools and then a few singles or something.
Yeah. Yeah. And obviously the Mox Jasper, the serialized card is going to be one of the big pools. But I think there's a lot of strong cards that we've seen already.
Yeah. There's going to be good stuff in here. It's dragons, like inevitably. That's why I'm looking forward to it. It might not be the most powerful because they're going to end up having like kind of handicap or whatever limitations on them.
Sure.
To make it challenging to use the dragons too effectively, but it's going to have some crazy bombs. And yeah, we've seen a few, but we got to wait till we see the rest before we really know.
Yeah, because we still
But anyway,
have plenty of time.
but yeah,
Because
yeah, it's
it's
a month away, a little
a
less.
little less. It's the
Yeah,
11th
4/11.
of yeah,
Yeah. So,
yeah. And I know it's still super early, but I was looking at just pre-release data, comparing it to Aether Drift, and the month before it came out, which we're only halfway through, we're tracking pretty similar in sales. But
yeah, I imagine the Final Fantasy thing you brought up before. I believe you.
yeah,
Because like you look at the pre-sales on Final Fantasy, and
yeah,
the price is coming down, but they're still moving. So that's money people are spending, right, on Final Fantasy that
yeah.
would normally be going towards Tarkir and is not.
No, and this
Uh,
is something we don't. I don't remember the last time we've seen in Magic. I don't know if you can think of anything where
I can't think
it
of
just
anything
like
that's
skips a
important.
set. Like it just we get pre-orders for the rest of the sets of the year this early, and people are already spending on them.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't think of a specific time. I'm sure it's happened. I'm sure they've done this before. I'm guessing it's a sniff test for the market to
Yeah,
find
I
out
mean, sure.
for
Like, is our print
quantities and
runs
stuff.
done?
But
Our
yeah,
print runs
I don't know.
done for like Spider-Man? Because I know
Well,
like sets they
think
do
about the
print pretty
reprints
far
they've
in
done.
advance, but
Yes, but think about reprints they've done. I think they've nailed it to a point where they're like within a margin, and then they'll do like a little spike print at the end if
mhm.
they need to. I don't know how they have that set up, but I'm guessing just card printer demand is down since COVID, right? So there's
I don't
probably a little bit
know.
more flexibility on the printer side.
I don't
It
know.
definitely is. There was build up during COVID. Remember they built
Yeah,
yeah, no, it definitely is. Think about how many games were going simultaneously with their releases.
sure. Yeah, but Pokemon can't keep up, and they own a printer.
Well, I think that's by design. I don't think they can't keep up. Well, I don't know. Actually, that's hard to say. Maybe it is they can't keep up, but
I mean, with
I think it's a combination.
I think with current sets being where they are and sets pre-ordering for what they're pre-ordering, I think it's they can't keep up.
Well, then why are they, when they do get that next wave out, why aren't they putting out a full wave?
Because I don't think it hit the printers again. I think it was just backstock.
That's fair.
Because think about it, like
Yeah, that's fair.
when
That's
Rudy,
fair.
we can kind of, we'll probably be bouncing around
I was
between
just saying, do
topics.
you want to jump into?
We're gonna jump around, but Rudy put out a video. He's been sick, but he put out another one talking about his the quote unquote reprints that we got are coming for Surging Sparks, right? He got 30 boxes, and he's the third largest vendor from that distributor.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
That's not a lot of boxes, and they were all upcharged closer to TCG player prices, which is now $260. And this so-called reprint that's just some backstock. I'd be really interested to see like a case of it and see what the date is on it.
Yeah.
But it dropped $5 to $260 off its high of $265. That's it.
I can't believe it dropped at all, honestly.
No, and it's probably just stores like, here, I'm just getting them off.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
Like they got it, they sold it. Yeah. Because I think everyone is just trying to, and then why I think some collector boxes, this all ties to Final Fantasy. I think some collector boxes are underpriced right now because stores are just trying to move them to acquire capital because it's going to be tax season. They're going to need to be paying their taxes, and they're going to need to have funds to pay for Final Fantasy and Journey Together.
Yeah.
Like Journey Together is coming out, and then the next Pokemon set's also already destined to be awesome because it's a follow-up and has the Team Rocket cards. And so,
although I think most shops would have ordered all that by now.
Destined Rivals, the next Pokemon set?
Yeah.
I don't know that. But they haven't had to pay for it. Maybe they ordered it.
I think most of the time you pay for it pretty early, but I don't know. I could be wrong on how that works. I remember when I was tied into distro, it was like 6 months in advance you had to do the Pokemon thing.
Okay.
So it was pretty crazy because I was always like, well, that's not for a million years. I'll buy it when the time comes, and then that was never even close to possible.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was always months and months ahead. So maybe you're right. Maybe it's just demand is too great.
And like just the increase of price on stores for the Universes Beyond, like those collector boxes are 300 store kind of ish. So like it's, I don't know. And how many are you going to get? How many are stores going to get a Final Fantasy collectors? That's the other thing.
That one's going to be a wild ride.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what happens. It's going to be a complete shit show.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. But going back to Tarkir, I put in an order for a case of collectors and a case of play. The case of play I found for 600, so happy with that. That's kind of, with these new booster boxes, play boxes, 100 is what I'm looking at as the deal. 100 chip flat. That's it. And then, because, yes, I do, like I said last week, I am pretty bullish on play boxes, but right at release isn't necessary. But it may be your best opportunity.
Yeah, I think early on, and then it drifts down depending on popularity or drifts up.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
That seems to be.
So it's just kind of like you're going. Sorry, you may go down a little bit, you may go up a little bit, but with my plans on holding them, it doesn't really matter. So just grabbing them when they come out.
Yep.
And the collector stuff, I do think will hold an age well, obviously, because it is collectors and they are print runs and they did pull them back. And the two that I am kind of shocked about is the price disparity between stores on Aether Drift and Innistrad, the last two sets, where some are just trying to move them while others are just happy to hold them and charging much above market. But
is there like a gap between the?
Yeah, between the usual stores that I check, there's a pretty big gap in the collector boxes.
Huh. Interesting.
Because I mean, we can still look at distro stuff, and the amount of places that have them are few, but they've gone off and come back on, so that's not necessarily a thing. Like we've seen MKM go off and on, and we've seen Outlaws go off and on in the collector boxes. So doesn't necessarily mean something, but we haven't seen like Foundations come back or Bloomburrow come back or Duskmorn or any of the recent ones. So I'm thinking Aether Drift probably isn't going to come back. So I am contemplating picking up some more Aether Drift boxes, collector boxes.
Yeah, I think that one will have some time on it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not in a rush for it. I have
very popular.
I have some. And I think it's just people were turned off by the set, but there are some powerful cards.
Does that actually have a high demand or not? Like, was Aether Drift a blip in the collectors, or do we see weak demand in Tarkir too?
I don't think so. I think we see strong. I think Tarkir does better than Aether Drift because it's the set that Magic players can hold on to and be like, this isn't really a hat set. It's a dragon set. That's the hat of it.
Yeah.
But it's... You have that, and then what else do you have this year that's magic?
Yeah.
You have the space opera set that I'm blanking on the name of, but like
I don't know if they
Eternities.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But like people are already saying that that's more of like a hat set, and because it's something new, right? It's Aether Drift was new. Outlaws was new. Murders was new. So this is, well, Murders wasn't new because it was Ravnica, but
it was,
yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah, I do actually. It's kind of funny that it's
even though it's Ravnica, but yeah. It didn't feel like it.
It definitely did not.
Whereas Tarkir feels like a Magic set.
It does.
So I think that's what's gonna hold it up a little bit. And I think
it's just still fighting with the giant wall of money that is Final Fantasy. That's
absolutely.
That's my question. Like, does it fail just on that alone? Well, not fail.
No, I think. I think it could really. It's hard because it could go either way.
That's where I'm actually really
like
curious.
do the big like magic anti-universe beyond people go heavier on it, or do they just back away from going heavy on anything? That's kind of going to be our question.
Or are they just busy buying Final Fantasy?
That could no. These are the anti-universes beyond people. Is what I was talking about.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true.
Because there's a demographic that's not into it. Yes.
Like fully not into it.
Yeah.
Would never even, because I feel like a lot of Magic players cross over into Final Fantasy, but I guess there's some that wouldn't and also hate universes beyond. But beyond.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess.
But also just the universe beyond packs are higher. So like you have limited players, the dozens of us, that when they go to pre-release, when they go to draft, it's going to be a more expensive draft. It's going to be priced like Modern Horizons or an Innistrad or like just some of those in-betweens.
I think a lot of people play limited, Tommy.
I know they do.
Okay. It's like, I think that
I just get made fun of every time I bring it up that no one plays limited, but
no one plays it, Tommy. A lot of people play limited.
Yes, they do. And it makes me happy that they still do.
Yeah, I was going to say, you just don't play with any of them except on Arena.
Exactly. And that's fine. That's all I have time for.
Yeah.
But yeah, when life gets a little more settled, I do plan on starting to hit some drafts because I am missing the card store. It's been a while. I need those evenings out again.
Mm-hmm.
So probably like, I don't know. Tarkir actually might be like the timeline, like the release and that. So Tarkir might be the set that I.
Hell yeah, let's go draft some Tarkir.
Definitely, yeah. Like if we're free for the pre-release, let's do it. But then drafting weekly, I'm not sure, but it'll around that time is when I think my life will be a little more free and flexible. Hopefully.
I won't be still drowning in my new job.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that's another thing that, yeah, my job's going to get busy. Another thing I wanted to talk about was the long-term performance between set and draft boxes. So we touched on this, I think, a little bit last week. I can't remember if it was on or off the podcast when John and I were talking about it. But so basically, we were talking about the era from like Zendikar Rising to Lost Caverns of Ixalan, where you had 3 boxes. You had the draft, the set, and the collector. I think I much prefer where we're at now with the play and the collector. Are you agreeing in that or no?
I think it's fine. I enjoyed set, but that was because I was at a point where I wanted to collect a lot of different things. Now I'm past it, so if they had set today, I would not buy it.
You would just,
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
right.
yeah, it just wouldn't be something to buy because there'd be too much bulk, right? So I think it has departed at a reasonable time to depart.
Yeah.
So, I haven't opened much play, so I can't really judge that. I think I only opened 1 box so far for myself.
Yeah.
If that, actually,
Maybe.
now that I think about it, I know I have some. I'm not sure I've actually ever opened a play box fully.
Just the only ones I've done is the draft.
Yeah.
But some interesting stuff. Thanks to Final Trade, go check out his YouTube channel, and he put together a bunch of data on it. And in every single set, besides 2, set has had the best performance. Obviously. You want to take a guess? Got Zendikar, Kaldheim, Strixhaven, Modern Horizons 2, Adventures of the Forgotten Realms, Midnight Hunt, Crimson Vow, Kamigawa, Streets of New Capenna, Baldur's Gate, Dominaria, Brothers War, Phyrexia, March of the Machines, Lord of the Rings, Commander Masters, Wilds of Eldraine, and Lost Caverns.
I actually have no idea. There's way too many options. That did worse than the play or the
draft. Like the draft is outperforming compared to the draft wholesale, the box wholesale.
Yeah,
percentage. Like if you were to buy a box of each.
I don't know. Modern Horizons 2 seems to stand out just because that's such a weird one. I didn't even realize.
Actually, no. I'm sorry. There are 3. There are three
Okay.
boxes that draft
What's
is
the other
started.
ones then?
Strixhaven
Okay.
by 0.2%. So basically the same.
Yeah.
And then we have Phyrexia All Will Be One by 2.4%.
Interesting.
And then we have Commander Masters at 1.3%. So all the ones that the draft led, it's barely. Whereas you have some sets that, like Wilds of Eldraine, the set box is up 17.5% over the draft box.
Commander Masters makes sense because that was like that draft set.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a commander set, so it's a.
And it's that crazy price.
Yeah,
so
it was
like
an off price point too. There's a number of weird things to it.
You just get, when it's that much of like a master set, like just the cards, the commons and uncommons will have value. So like you're gonna get more of them in the draft box. And you're not gonna get those art cards in every set pack.
Yeah. Plus, it's just a cool draft experience. So
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah.
I
don't.
It's the most recent Commander draft set.
That's true. That's true too. I wonder how long it will take for that to reverse back. I'm assuming they print with that tiering of demand in mind, right? Like more play, middle amount of set. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's got to turn around eventually, but it's curious.
Yeah. I just thought it was interesting.
It is.
Just because, I mean, my method has been draft over set for sure. Just because I don't have a need for the single cards, and I do like limited. So that's why I'm happy with the play, because it's kind of just both.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah. It definitely is.
But just some interesting stuff I wanted to touch on. And then the last Magic thing was the Lego comparison. There was a Reddit post. It is misleading if you look at the graph, and there is some stuff wrong. But I thought it was just an interesting topic to go on, in that Lego has seen a major growth. You can't deny that Lego has seen a lot of growth since adopting IPs. That's true. But it's also at the same time enhanced its own IP, which is just as important. Like you had the Lego movie, you had Ninjago be a big thing. Bionicle came back somehow. Like their IPs, they're pushing in other medias, which Magic is starting to do supposedly with that show or movie.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see. We've heard it a dozen times. But like, I don't, as a fan, I consider myself a Lego fan. I like Lego. I always have since I was a kid. I was never really attracted to the main Lego sets though. Like Lego. I liked the Star Wars stuff. I liked the Lord of the Rings stuff. I like the IPs that I like.
Interesting.
And so that's when I think Lego, that's what I think. So 5-10 years from now, if Universes Beyond is still at least like 50% of Magic, are people just going to correlate Magic with certain IPs, other IPs?
Yes. I mean, that is inevitably, we are creating the nostalgia of the future, right?
Yeah.
So yes, that is absolutely going to be a thing. How much does it really matter? I don't know, but it's interesting that you're an IP driven Lego like fan player, whatever, however you describe it.
Builder, collector.
Builder, yeah.
Like I'm not tempted at all by like these big Lego sets of IPs that I don't care about, or just the regular Lego. But
what
I
about
see
the NASA spaceship ones. You don't like that?
No.
What? That's so insane. I can't even grasp your brain.
But like I see Rivendell and I'm like, okay, I
hell
might
yes,
drop
yeah.
$500. Let's go. Like, my wife had to hold me back.
I guess I'm buying that right now.
Yeah, and if it did fit where we wanted to put it in our cabinet, we would have bought it.
Yeah.
But it was just a couple inches too deep. And so we didn't. And now we're just waiting because
Bigger
we know
cabinet?
that they're gonna. Yeah, we need a bigger cabinet. No, we're not replacing that cabinet. We're just kind of waiting for a Lord of the Rings set that will fit in that space.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's interesting. It'll be interesting to watch Magic evolve over the next couple of years with this
Definitely,
Universe Beyond thing.
It will have an impact. And like I said, we are printing the nostalgia of the future, just like you have the throwback to Lord of the Rings growing up as a kid.
Mhm.
You're very excited. Or you think about certain things. I don't know what IP related stuff was in Lego that you enjoyed, but whatever it was, that's going to be your, kickback moment in memory. And that's what people are getting right now, I guess.
Yeah, and I mean, you have to think that they're gonna revisit these IPs eventually, if they do well.
I mean, yeah, presumably.
Like Lord of the Rings had a subtitle, right? So you have to assume that there's going to be another Lord of the Rings set.
Yes. And you think about it too. I'm curious about that. If there's a correlatable cycle to things, thinking back on Lego for the longer term situation, a correlatable cycle of those early IP Lego sets to a new release using the same IP that's related to the time it would be between that child's age and when they would have a child that's now old enough to play with Legos, because that's the parent making that buying decision. Getting both of them emotionally attached is like the freaking magic, right?
Yeah.
They're trying to do. So
how many kids do you think are gonna
definitely.
how many parents are gonna bring their kids to Spider-Man? How many parents are gonna bring their kids to Avatar?
Yeah, absolutely. Interesting. That's the nostalgia plus get them young.
They're doing SpongeBob. It's not a set, but
yeah. That one I feel like is a little off formula, but we'll go with it.
Avatar's Nickelodeon too.
Avatar's not. Avatar makes total sense to me.
But it's Nickelodeon. Like, it's that age range.
I guess. Why do you say that? I don't fully understand that.
Like, it's like the Avatar show is for the same age demographic as SpongeBob.
I guess that's true. Is it because it was on like a network? You're saying it was on Nickelodeon?
It was on Nickelodeon, just like SpongeBob. Yeah.
Yeah, Avatar was not just on Nickelodeon though.
I'm pretty sure.
No. In the U.S.?
Yeah.
No.
It's on Netflix now. But,
yeah, that's what I mean.
There's the Netflix animated show or in-person show.
Yeah, I think I could be wrong,
but the network is Nickelodeon.
It was only Nickelodeon?
Uh-huh.
I swore it was on like one of those other channels too, but I see you are correct. All right, I was wrong. Interesting. So that was a connected set of cartoons, you're saying? SpongeBob and Avatar, basically?
Well, sure. Like, they're on the same network. They have a similar target demographic.
Were they at 3 o'clock and 3:30 p.m. right after getting home from school or something equally important for a child's time?
They're not that closely tied. They're just same network tied.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's maybe SpongeBob leans younger, where Avatar leans older, but there is a crossover in age. Like, if you were to say SpongeBob is from like
for sure. 100%. 100%. Yeah. That's why I was so confused, because I was like, I swore I saw Avatar, and I know I didn't watch SpongeBob. So that's why when you said that, I was like,
SpongeBob came out much earlier.
I think where I saw Avatar is probably in like DVD releases from just being around nerds that love anime stuff, right? That's why I was like, really? It was only Nickelodeon? I swore it was something else, but it must have probably just been the DVD collections or whatever. So,
yeah. I mean, it'll be interesting. That's the one I'm worried about, but we'll see.
They're all doomed. It's all doomed.
No.
The doom and the gloom. All right, wait till
everything's
the end.
Fine. Yeah, wait till the end. I think when we touched on Surging Sparks, we touched on Journey Together. Oh, the one thing about Journey Together, so last week it was pushing close to $250. with averaging sales of 107 a day, 19 days away from release. We are now 12 days away from release. It's come back down, pushing to 40 plus tax and shipping. And then averaging 98 a day. So it has slowed down a little bit, but that's still 98 a day. That's still like averaging 100 a day. That's at that price is crazy.
Out of control.
Out of control. Speaking of things that are out of control, Crucible of War first edition.
Yeah. So the last listed 1200 box, I think it was like 1290 or something like that, or maybe 1190, I can't remember. Sold, and I guess it was 5 days ago, 6 days ago, something like that. So now the price is 2,000. So the Rudy Flush, where he did those kits that hit the prices, is now reversed, which is actually interesting because it says something about like how long it takes the market to absorb. Called like 1,000. He probably said how many he did. I don't know. It's usually like 1,000 or 2,000. It's usually not too many. With a very good price and extra stuff, right? Like the cards or the promos or the playmat. I think with one of the sets. I don't remember if that was Crucible or the Arc. But the point being that with the extra stuff, you're kind of free to sell things. Some of the boxes inevitably get dumped while people just want the promo or whatever. Vice versa as well. Point being, that was what, 3-4 months ago? It wasn't that long ago. And now we're back to where we were before he did that. So pretty interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Old Fab is selling a little bit.
More than it
has been. More than it has been.
There's your sign we're in a bubble.
Hyped. What's that?
I was just making a joke. There's your sign we're in a bubble.
Yeah.
We're not, though.
It's definitely... One of these days, this will actually matter. It doesn't yet, but one of these days, it will actually matter, and the old stuff will be for sale. Well, not for sale, but at a much, much higher prices more consistently. But I suppose that just depends on how greedy collectors get when they're ready to come back.
Yeah.
So I do want to talk about one other crazy collectible situation.
Sure. I have one more, too.
Okay. You do yours first, then.
I just kind of a realization I had. So I was in a meeting with a coworker, and I had changed my camera settings so it had a little wider view of my background. It was just an internal meeting. A coworker of mine noticed that one of the boxes behind me has Pokemon and asked if I collected Pokemon. And I said yes, and I told him about my TCG player store, and he was like, "Oh, awesome. What sealed stuff do you have?" And I was like, "I sold it all in the past couple months. And I have a bunch of singles. Here's my link. Check it out." He has recently come back into the hobby, and the perspective and what I'm seeing online as well is very similar to his, that there is a lot of new blood in Pokemon right now. And it is, the mentality is it has to be MSRP or lower before I buy it.
Okay.
Whereas this time last year, people would laugh when they charged MSRP. It's like, I'm not paying MSRP.
Yeah.
And then I think the current Pokemon new to the hobby people are not realizing that S is a suggested price. That S stands for suggested.
Well, this always happens.
I know. It's just a reminder that the cycle is cynical. It happens again and again. Here we are, and we are at this point. And how long does this point last?
Exciting part. The part where it's like dumb money floods in. Many of them will be burned and probably gone within a year or two. You know, that's how it goes.
But how?
Yeah, but this happens. Yeah, it's the frothy section of the bubble curve.
Yeah, and we need some seismic, but I think the size of the reprint we need to get things back on course is so much larger than before.
Yeah, and they're probably looking at macro and saying, let's not get ourselves stuck.
Yeah, exactly. They don't want to repeat what happened last time.
Going, yeah, exactly. They're like, it's okay. unfortunately, it just keeps it fueled and burning faster and hotter.
Yes. So, just wanted to touch on that real quick because it's reminding me all the time. But and then, so my other thing was, I grabbed one case of Journey Together for $185 a box. There's a place online I can get it for $225 a box, and it's selling 100 a day at $240 a box plus tax. How far does it come down on release? Does it come down to 225? Does it come down to 200? I don't think so.
It does. Like, it does not. We don't seem to be. We haven't seen any indicators of such change in behavior, so you shouldn't expect it. That's the best we can say.
And like the last set, the most.
It's bound to happen eventually, though.
Yes,
it will happen. But the reprints we've seen, no.
So like Surging Sparks, right? Like when it came out, it was that normal 116, 120. So Journey Together is the first set that it's like coming out at this price like crazy.
Yeah.
And we had we had Surging Sparks dip at the beginning of February down to 243, but then it went all the way up to 265, then just kind of bouncing around between 260 and 265 for a regular box. But then the difference is Journey Together, it seems like, is slightly smaller or more. It's not even smaller. I do firmly believe that it's just the pie is being sliced into too many slices. It's the same pie. It's just going too many different directions. And so the stores need to make the same amount on smaller amount of boxes.
Yeah. Yep. Inflation be inflating.
Yeah. So I don't know.
Speaking of Pokemon inflation, I'm very pleased. My Vivid Voltage is doing very well.
Yes.
Battle Styles, not that great. No one's surprised because it's Battle Styles, but hey,
it did a thing.
It did. But Vivid Voltage is actually kind of, I wouldn't say on the move, but has been getting more consistent sales overall.
I believe
and has a tighter supply based on what's on TCG Player. Put it that way. There's only one box left until it's up to 1450, and then it just goes.
Case.
Yeah, a case. Sorry, a case. Yeah, and it keeps going from there like pretty quickly. It accelerates. There's only like 5 or 6 boxes left of this.
Mm-hmm.
Or cases. Sorry, cases left. So, anyways, it's
And the one thing, the kind of macro thing that I'm noticing is with these newer people in the hobby, how are they going to react when things go down? How are they going to react when things go up? How
are they going to react?
How do they hold?
You know exactly what's going to happen. Come on, Tommy, tell us.
They're going to sell it.
Yeah, they're going to dump the market.
And you're going to see a bunch of new sellers on TCG Player. So when you go to Vivid Voltage, the first 2 sellers have under 100 sales. 3 of the top 4 have under 100 sales. You're just going to see a lot of new sellers selling these Pokemon boxes.
Yep.
I don't know. Yep. It's just, it's an interesting thing.
We're in the cycle.
When you have to choose between a new seller and a reputable seller.
Well, the price difference, at least for the Vivid Voltage, is like 1,200 to like, was it 1,700 or something like that? Like quite a difference between the two.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, you have to get to the 5th seller to even have over 1,000 sales.
Yep. It's crazy.
Yeah. That was my last thing.
Yeah, no, that was interesting. It was good last thing. Mm-hmm. My last thing is more tongue in cheek, which is why I said it. There's this hot new game out. That's why I want you to do yours first, because trying to get back serious afterwards just would be fun. Hot new game out called Golf In, according to my browser's
right. Yeah.
ad. I don't know what this is. It's creepy though. My tab usually just has art in it, like a
Mm-hmm.
picture, a scene, something, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes museum stuff that you can like click a link and look at like more info on the thing that it's showing. This time it
Sure.
was an ad for, I'm not even sure entirely. It looks like trading cards, but they're bedazzled and bejeweled and magical looking putters and
Golf clubs.
drivers and irons. Like what is happening? They do have like what looks like a kind of a stat line, and then they have a QR code. And then when I clicked the little ad under it, it was actually for win a chance for a golf adventure of a lifetime. So it was some sort of like sweepstake, I guess. So
That
no,
they're
not
targeting
cars.
trading card players with golf?
My browser knew that I am a man who, I don't know, might be interested in golf, right?
Sure,
But
you're
it
a
knew
man,
I
so you're
was
inherently might
definitely
be.
interested in cards.
Yeah.
So it made an ad, AI probably, because
Yeah.
it does look AI
Yeah.
generated. And it just took the two things and jammed them together in a very custom ad for me. And I actually clicked the fucking thing, which I
Yes, you
never
did.
click ads. And I am like, oh shit, the new age of advertising is here. In
Yeah.
browser, man. What a weird. And then I
I'm
went
definitely
back
going to be talking to
and
my boss about that tomorrow.
I was like, holy shit. I was like, does this always have ads? And I just never noticed them. No ad
Yeah.
after that.
Yeah.
It's the creepiest fucking thing, man. Welcome to the new age. I got to get next level on this because this is I will be clicking ads with that level of compelling. Like I was just like, it's cards. What is that?
Check in with your marketing team, see if they're okay. They're probably not.
Yeah. All right. Now on to the doom and gloom.
Hey, my favorite part.
First, probably the latest headline piece that's interesting and worth noting is consumer confidence is at a 21 or 29-month low. So that's pretty significant. It does show that, consumers will be pulling back. You think about cards, that means less people buying cards. That's another reason I wonder if Tarkir is going to do okay or if it's going to get hit by the 1-2 punch of consumer reduction at the same time as Final Fantasy. You know what
If
I
it
mean?
comes down to 200 a collector, I'm picking up more. I'm saying.
I would definitely pick them up, especially if they even dip below 200 per.
Oh, yeah.
Probably buy a case
Yeah.
and just sit on it. And that's I have not been buying cases of collectors in a while, so that's like for me that I think that says something. I guess it depends on how good the cards are. If they
And
suck,
so
then I
and
get
so
that
that's the
effect.
thing, right? And that's why I feel more comfortable grabbing the case of collectors over grabbing a case of Pokemon. Is the cards will hold it up.
Yeah.
Like if it dips too low, people just be like, "Oh, I'll just buy it and crack it,"
Yeah.
because it just makes sense at that point.
It does. That's why I'm like, I would buy it if it drops too low because the sets, in my opinion, and this is probably not super consistent, but in the time I've been messing around, the sets that everyone dislikes that are still within, I guess, cycle, if you will, or within game playability. Like if they suck because the cards suck, that's a different thing. But you know what I mean?
When
They tend to come back
was the
pretty
last
nice.
one? Even Murders has come back because the cards, they were like, "Oh, actually, the cards are good."
Yeah, that's fair.
There's some good cards in Murders. The land cycle even is a big
Yeah,
thing.
I still think Murders is probably the worst performing.
Sure,
Right?
it's the worst performing, but if that's the
I
worst
mean,
performing,
I'm curious how Aether holds up. I have a feeling it's going to have a rough year.
I could see it being similar.
Yeah, so like by next year, I bet we see it and it looks a lot like Murder.
So it's still around 200 in a year from now?
Something like that. Maybe because of inflation by end of year, maybe it's like the new 200 is like
250. Yeah.
20 something. Yeah, I don't know. But you get my point.
Yeah.
It's in that low tier, I think.
But I mean, if
so
distros are already low on it, I mean, whereas they still have Murders.
It's true, but are they actually low for one?
Sure.
Do they get more waves? Blah blah blah. All the same things we've always seen. But I don't know. Like maybe Aether's like fancy jewels enough. Maybe there's stuff in there that makes the collectors just more sellable. Than
The fractured foils are in it compared to Murders.
Yeah,
Where Murders had like the ink.
it's one of those things. Like, is that really a big like the gold place or whatever they call that one?
Yeah, the first place foil.
Yeah,
I think Aether Drift will do better than Murders this year than Murders did last year, but not like substantially better.
Yeah.
I think there is a slightly smaller print run, and the fractured foils are more attractive than the invisible ink in Murders. Sure. And there are more Commander and Modern cards in Aether Drift than Murders. Outside of the lands.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair. Anyways, we'll see.
Yeah.
But going back to the consumer confidence is low.
Yeah.
Economics, where that came from. The other thing that is interesting, this is good news, more good news than bad news. Inflation was basically flat. I think it actually came down 0.1%. And that is, flat in my book. There was a lot of celebrating on social media in various places. I think this celebrating was a little premature because if you actually dug into the data, just 4 or 5 months ago, it was coming down 0.3 per month. So it is reducing, but it's reducing at a reduced rate, which means it's trending towards up from going down. The bottom of the Nike check, we're at the bottom.
Yep.
And inflation it looks like it's going to reverse based on all the, madness we've talked about in the past few weeks. So it's still good. Like, it's good. Inflation's still coming down, which is good. But it's barely coming down, and it may be turning around and starting to head up from here. We will see. I don't want to call that one because inflation is notoriously wonky. It'll bounce around a little bit. So it could go up next week or next month, and then down the following month.
And then we're back to where we were.
It's we've seen that happen before. So I don't want to be like, this is the absolute bottom. It's going up from here. It definitely is not necessarily. But yeah, so it did come down. So that's nice. Good news. The street says they predict 50-50 chance of a recession at this point. So all the news is talking about all the big banks, JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, blah, 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 saying that the chances of a recession are this, that, and the other. And when you average all together, it's 50-50 chance, which is the highest it's been in a while. That said, Wall Street is hilariously and notoriously, if you go back and look at the freaking data, terrible at predicting recessions.
Well, sure, because they don't want it to.
That's literally their job, is to deal with economics and apply it to real life, and their predictions are terrible. I feel like that is terrible, and they should be ashamed.
They're public predictions.
Well, and that is the part that I always go back to. It's like, are they just advertising for certain market actions to happen? Is that what's really going on? Because I think that is a little bit of what's going on.
Peak capitalism, we're here.
Which is also why they don't give a crap if they get it right or not, because they achieve what they're trying to achieve and make the money they're trying to make,
Right.
So anyways, I just wanted to point that out because that is like a headline. 50-50, the street, JP Morgan, whatever, is saying recession. And it's like, yes, I do agree. It's probably a recession coming, but how big and how long are the big factors, not whether there is one.
Yeah.
And then also the Wall Street's predictions are just terrible. They always get those wrong. So yes or no, 50-50 seems just fine. And then in another statement, Bitcoin is now, I guess, an official correction territory. I'm not sure exactly where the line is, but Rudy was talking about official corrections in certain assets and like how it's not really happening. And he's totally right. In the S&P and the stock market, we're nowhere close to correction territory. We're in a down spot, but we've hit this down spot many times in the last few years even. But where we are is in Bitcoin has come down 29.52%. So I think it's 30 or 20%. One of the two is the official line for a correction.
So we're there.
Yeah, we are there for Bitcoin, which, as we know with cards, pretty associated world.
Yeah. Bitcoin and cards are much more associated than stock market and cards.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, while he's accurate on the stock market, and yes, we do not have a crash in the stock market, we're definitely verging on crash territory in crypto, which is very related to cards. So now
bring it on.
This is the thing for me. I have a line in the sand with Bitcoin. I am still above that line. And as long as we stay above that line, I think we got more upside coming throughout this year. So
sure.
That's where my mind is at. I personally took money off the table before the more recent leg down and got myself in a cash position just in case, because I do want to grab some more. If I get a greedy opportunity like a wick down. But as of right now, we have not crossed my line in the sand. So until we do, I think there's still upside with Bitcoin over the next, call it 6 to 12 months, which could be a positive indicator for cards. So look at that. Some good economic news, I guess.
Sure. I think so.
Sure. We'll take it.
It sounds more like, and we're still waiting.
Yeah, well, it's always we're still waiting,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Isn't that just
Perpetually.
Yeah, it's a cycle. It all cycles
Yeah.
and it all goes through these waves of this and that, and
We've been here before. We're going in circles.
we will be here again. I
Mm-hmm.
promise. So, that's all I got for economic news.
Cool. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, there's a lot going on in life.
Yeah, there is.
Got to make it through.
One day at a time.
Focus
Mm-hmm.
on the good. Be kind to your friends, your family,
Don't leverage.
people around you. Don't leverage. Do not leverage. Take care of your personal debts and stuff first.
Mm-hmm.
None of this stuff is more important than getting yourself in a stable position.
Have your rainy day fund.
Yep.
And then when you have your rainy day fund, you can do whatever you want. And then if it goes down, it goes down. If it goes up, it goes up.
Yep.
And you don't have to act on emotion, because when you act on emotion, bad things happen. So just take out the emotion out of it.
Yep.
Think long term.
Emotional about your holdings, then you are too exposed.
Yeah. So
doesn't matter what it is.
Oh,
crypto makes
everything.
You stay up at night. If cards make you afraid because the price went up or down, or excited because the price went up, if your emotions are involved, and it's a financial thing that you're actually trying to grow as a capital basis, not just cards for fun games, right?
Yeah.
Then your emotions being involved is very dangerous for you, and you should step away from it because that's probably bad.
Yeah. This should be your fun money. Because if you are listening to this podcast and you've made it this far, that means that you are probably not in the position where you are capping out your 401k and you are not capping out your IRA and doing all the things important before cards.
Is that true? Do we know who listens to us?
This long in the podcast, if you are that person, leave a comment and I will clap for you and appreciate you. But, well, if the world is still spinning next week, we'll catch you guys later.
Have a good one.